Hi, it's Tziporah here. Many people who experience physical abuse as children do not end up developing BPD or CPTSD, whereas most people who develop BPD or CPTSD have experienced emotional neglect, which is abuse and is traumatic to a child. So I'm going to talk about the way that emotional neglect affects us and why it makes it hard for us to even know that it was truly abusive and that it does contribute to our BPD or CPTSD. The traumatic effects that emotional neglect has on us permeate through our whole lives. And what happens is we don't know that it's actually affecting us in many areas because it's coming out in emotional flashbacks and affecting us through different areas that aren't directly mirroring our past. So, for instance, a small mistake like dropping something or messing something up slightly can turn into a huge self-deprecating, self-negative attack, or a minor setback can cause major depression, or small uncertainty can create large anxiety. So these are things that we're struggling with without linking it back to our childhood, so we don't really know that it's affected us so much. It can also lead to self-harm because we end up treating it on a physical level rather than an emotional level in order to try to resolve or release some of the emotional pain that is lingering inside of us. Because we were never validated or understood or made to feel that our emotions matter, we end up really ignoring our own feelings. And this also creates a message inside of us that says avoid any emotions, avoid unpleasant feelings, don't express them, don't feel them. And really it causes further suppressing and repressing of our emotions until we don't even know how to label them or know what we are truly feeling. It creates a core shame because if we were given the message that our emotions don't matter, if we were even punished or dismissed or shown disgust or disdain to our negative or unpleasant emotions, we have been given the message that we're shameful for even having these emotions. So then the core shame is layered with things like anger or anxiety, and it comes out in life through different ways, in different outbursts, different social anxieties and abilities to handle life in general. The emotional neglect that we experience as children teaches us to alienate ourselves from our feelings, so we don't even know that we are feeling neglected. As we're older, we age, we don't even know that we're feeling something missing. We are just feeling that this is the normal way, and maybe I'm different than others, and maybe this is just the way I am. It affects our relationships as well, because if we didn't have our feelings validated, we didn't learn to validate our own feelings, and we didn't learn to validate someone else's feelings, we can get into relationships that are very emotionally disconnected, and even get into relationships that are abusive, because abusive people are also emotionally neglectful. Why can it take very long to realize that we need to heal from our childhood in the case of emotional neglect? We end up feeling more resilient because we've suppressed things and we've hardened up through life, so we don't really truly understand the effects that it's had on us. Physical abuse is of course represented in a physical way, whereas emotional abuse is hard to remember because it's on an emotional level and there is no direct memories to link it to. It's often spread out, it's subtly and throughout our childhood. We can always feel misunderstood when trying to express ourselves because often we can explain instead of express emotions because of our lack of emotional literacy from the neglect, and also because we weren't ever validated. So it's hard to reach out and try to heal because if mom never listened to me, why would you listen to me? Another very common reason why people might not reach out when they need healing for emotional neglect from childhood is because they feel unworthy to reach out because others had it worse. So because physical abuse is so overt and visible and noticeable, If we've only been emotionally neglected and not physically abused, then we might not feel worthy to actually reach out because maybe it wasn't that bad. If we were properly clothed, fed, and housed as children, we might even feel guilty to seek help in the healing process and recovery from the emotional neglect side of things. Emotional neglect is very hard to locate in our memory because of its subtlety, whereas physical abuse is very easy to locate for the most part. So emotional neglect does take some time and some digging and some patience with ourselves to heal it. Now, this all certainly affects our entire life, and that's why it can contribute to CPTSD and BPD. So if you have any questions about this, please feel free to reach out, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.